Consciousness, the final frontier. These are the voyages into the universe between your ears. Our mission, to explore collective wisdom, seek out amazing secrets, and spread the message of personal potential.
Right.
Interesting.
And I looked at it for the first time. It's like, you know what? Truly, you could look at the world and either see negativity everywhere, or you could see there's a bigger picture that's happening. There's transformation that's happening. Trump is there for a reason.
Amen. I completely agree with you, because it's funny. I knew he was going to win. I knew it. Like I felt it. Like I was in with my Kundalini yoga. Yeah, I can't even say. I was at a session with her, and when I was living up in LA, and she came out. She was so upset. Like, this is she's a master, and she's out there. Oh my God, I can't believe it. And I'm like, oh, that's really weird. You feel that way? Because like I feel so totally aligned. Like I knew he was coming in, because I felt that the people wanted a change, and he was so different from anything that we had before. And that's what that transformational stuff is. We shake everything up and kind of emulsify everything from the inside out so that it's unrecognizable, and then we go in a different direction. So I agree with you 100%. I mean,
creative destruction or something.
Yes.
Yeah. I heard somebody recently say that you've got to have chaos to have order.
It's
to have a new order.
Yes.
So
I know
it's just part of the program.
It is. And you can either be part of the solution or part of the problem. You can either put your mind on the worries and the griping and the moaning and the thises and the that's, or you can proactively start, thinking about, I know it's people just like a lot of times they're like, that's so stupid. And I'm like, no, you don't get it. Like what you create, and then your thoughts go up there and they, mix around and, attach to all those other thoughts that are up there that are creating. So what do you want to create? It's like when I had breast cancer, people are like, go on the fight against breast cancer walk. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to fight against breast cancer unless I want to keep it in place.
Yeah.
It's so weird, because it's an old concept, but to a lot of people it's new, and it sounds like a fairy tale, but it's not,
Yep.
It is. It does. It does sound to people in my family. Sometimes I just restrict myself.
I don't believe that.
Yeah. But being disciplined with your thoughts, I would say, was the first, like when there was a revelation that, oh my God, what I think about, before I thought, okay, well, it was just in your mind. You didn't actually start doing anything in that regard. Now I understand. I mean, for a while now, that being disciplined with your thoughts, how important is that?
Yes.
And they would, my family would say, like, there are a lot of you're right, Tim. That generation, a lot of superstitions, a lot of programming.
A lot of fear.
Generation,
it's like we can't hang on to what you got.
Yeah. That's why I left home 35 years ago. I love my family, but I figured if I stayed in that mindset, I would die, and I have a millennial daughter who's 23, right? She's a goddess. I mean, she's like, she's like way beyond me, but those millennials are something, they're really connected. A lot of them are, not all of them, but a lot of them are. And so, Tim, you're right. I love
it's a new paradigm. I'll tell you a story. My daughter, her laptop, broke. And so she needed to buy a laptop. And now, I'm her Facebook friend, right? So
That's good.
I am still, it's a privilege because sometimes I'm making this, unenlightened comments, I guess. So she posted a status update, and she's got probably thousands of friends. My laptop broke. I need advice. What laptop I should buy? It should be 1, inexpensive, 2, reliable. Within an hour, there's like 10, 15, 20, and it's growing.
Yes.
This generation, I mean, they're plugged in.
They're on top
and you know what? This is not your Amazon review. This is not the paid promotion. This is real experience. Crowdsourcing is happening.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's true.
So yeah, amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing.
And like, what a great advice she got. Now, not only she gets it, everyone who ever wants to buy a laptop now should get this. You know, that's how it spreads out. It's a whole new paradigm. You know.
Yeah, it's beautiful actually. I love it. I think it's fun. You know, I've heard so many people, they're afraid to post stuff on Facebook, you know, and here I am. I'm like, what? Just, you know, here I am naked in front of everybody, all my stuff, you know, all my stuff. But, you know, reality is like people, like the government knows where we are, and, you know, the Google Maps knows our house and they can hone in on. It's like there's no hiding. So for me, it's like, again, you can create a story around that, right? Or you can utilize it to your best, you know, ability and do something positive with it and stay out of the mode of, you know, there are weirdos out there that are coming to me. You know?
There was an interesting story lately that a 14-year-old girl received some ads online selling her something that has to do with pregnancy tests or something like that.
Wow.
And the parents were pissed off. Why our child became an audience for your seemingly like targeted campaign here, selling her pregnancy things. And so the company apologized, but then they looked and it turned out the girl was pregnant. And
interesting.
And they didn't
there
know.
You go.
They didn't know about that. But the thing is, her online activities, things that she searched for on Google and a bunch of other things,
they come up in the search.
Right. Not them. The machine did.
The machine,
The what is it called?
The algorithm.
AI. The AI now. The artificial intelligence analyze that. It's the power of big data.
Right.
You know? They know about us, all our activity online, and you know what? You could easily process this information and come up with a certain profile. Okay, is this person a family person who has kids?
Oh yeah, they know.
Whatever. I mean, where am I going? Who I'm talking with right now? Like I have a lot of big log of phone calls with Team suddenly. Why Team? Who is Team? What are his interests? And then they could cross what are our common interests.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to tell you. They've been talking to me about you.
Well, as soulmates, you know, that stuff happens. I love it.
But you know, this makes me think. I'm trying to put my finger on the title, but the Tom Cruise movie, where you know they were going out and arresting people for crimes that they were going to commit.
Oh, I know that was
you know,
you
know, he had it was like the computer in the air. He was moving pages and all this.
Oh, I saw that. I can't remember it also. Yeah, that's so. Yeah.
But it kind of it's that whole profiling. They're going to know what our tendencies are, what we're likely to do in any given situation before we do it.
Yes.
And we can have nightmares at night over this, or we can just say, well, oh well.
Yes.
You know, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
You can't stop it. You know,
well, I mean, it's just even when we talk about it, you know, it opens up a whole can of worms. But I like to stay, like a lot of people say, you're putting your head in the sand. Well, to a certain degree, I am. I mean, I know what's kind of sort of going on in the world, but do I want to immerse myself in all of it? No. And I can only do one thing at a time for one person at a time. I can't change everything. So why would I screw up my whole being, you know, because the world's a mess, you know? I do my part and then that's all I can do.
That's the thing. You got to put your attention to and use the abilities that you have and the gifts that you have and apply that in a place that you can't, we can't all fix everything.
We can't.
You know, we got to pick our battles and you know, it's like, somebody asked me, well, aren't you mad about, you know, this or it's not my fight, you know?
Right.
It's just not my fight.
My drama. Yeah,
Plenty of people that are just like you, that are all worked up over it. So, you know, go have fun.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I think that's a really great place to be. And, you know, one of the reasons I say yes to things is just because it's like, if you've got to, instead of pointing a finger at everybody else, right? And I'm taking this back to what Gabi said. It was like, you know, it really is true. I remember in a relationship I was in and I was learning a new way of being. And it was like, you know, taking responsibility. I think it was doing Gay and Katie Hendricks' book, you know, Conscious Loving. And it talks about taking responsibility for yourself. And people have trouble. This is like even just a world problem, right? It's not my fault. It's their fault. I didn't do it. They did it to me. But it's so interesting when you get into this whole thing. You know, I just started saying, like I said, I say yes to what's uncomfortable. I say yes to stuff that's hard, that hurts. I say yes to fear. I say yes to all of it because there's gold in it. You know, when it's like, I remember when I was with my partner and he did something and I was, you know, I was like, no, like, I know I'm supposed to take responsibility, but he did it. Like, there's nothing I did. And when I started really looking at the mind, which is a really interesting thing, I noticed that if I chose to blame and say yes to that, that literally what would happen is I would start having the stories in my head, and then I would get really angry, and then we'd have 3 days of silence and being ticked off at each other, right? So I chose that. So another time when something would happen, when I literally went in and I chose to say yes to taking responsibility, even when my mind is like going, what are you doing? Like literally something in that moment happened. There was a healing that took place. There wasn't a story around it. You know, it healed the relationship. So there's a lot of, like I said, it's like, I love to talk about the power of yes in every respect because it's so important. And, and if people would do that and taking responsibility in the world with the world problems, instead of pointing the finger at everybody else and everything else, like we were talking about, you know, your outer world is a mirror of what's going on inside of you. So clean up your act first, and then you'll start seeing, you know, the world change. But it's difficult. It's a challenge for sure. Yeah. But, you know, that's why I say yes to it. Because again, clean yourself up first, and maybe the world will start to change a little bit. Right.
Will we have any meaning though will there be any meaning to our lives if, say, you know, imagine for a moment that the end result is achieved. Paradise is here. Right? No more pain and suffering. The planet is amazing. We are able to feed everyone. Everyone is secure. People live long and healthy and pleasant lives. Impressive. Do you think humans are capable of living a fulfilled life if they don't have to fight and you know, conquer and overcome challenges, you know, in that world? That's a
freaking awesome question. It really is.
I don't know the answer. I'm asking this just to kind of, because Tim and I love to talk about this kind of stuff.
No, I love that. I'll go first. Tim, you can come in when you want. What I'm getting is that having the human experience in this 3D lower vibrational sense is what we're supposed to learn. I believe if we're in paradise, then we're not here. That's what I think. I mean, I think we can achieve more balance, more harmony, more generosity, I think we can achieve that. I think it's a good thing for us to strive for, because I think it's who we are as beings, as spiritual beings having human experience. I really believe that's who we are on the inside. And I think that's why where that drive comes from. That's why we want perfection, because we already are perfect, just not in these bodies. Right. So I really think that this experience is about that. And I don't believe that we're ever going to fully get rid of that. That's my personal opinion. And I wouldn't want to, because again, it's like, that's what's created me at the deepest level, refined me and made me have a fire and made me have, you know, it's like, if I didn't have that challenge, it would be like, you know, it would be boring. It would be, I don't know. It wouldn't be any fun. Even the hard stuff. I know that sounds really weird, but
that's a good question. Could it be fun without this? Can we still be, you know, getting fulfillment from something else, you know, from being creative?
Well, yeah.
You know,
if it's paradise, I got to say yes. I mean, it's, I think you know, you sort of pose the question, everything's perfect, but can we still, you know, well, either it is or it isn't. So I think,
perfect.
You know, I think that's what the whole purpose of everybody being here is about, is trying to get to there. And there's a guy named Ken Burns, and I'm thinking it's in his book. It's called Up from Eden. And it's basically about the development of human consciousness. And we sort of go through this cycle from essentially, and it mimics sort of the human life experience, where you come out, you're a baby, you're completely unaware, everything's wonderful, you know, and it's just you and your mother and whatever, you know, and at some point then you realize there's a separation. You are not this. You have you become aware of self, and then the fear kicks in. Oh, I'm not. Oh, and then that person walks out of the room, and oh my God, I'm alone. And then from that point on, all of your life is about trying to live, right? Trying to live forever. Yeah. And eventually we don't. But I'm thinking in that book is where I read this, that it's basically sort of like this big Yahtzee game that God or whatever you want to source, just has this cup and rolls it all out and watches while we all do our little dances here. And then when it all plays out, he just scoops it all up again and rolls another set. And I think if we ever got to that paradise place, essentially that's probably what would happen.
Interesting. Yeah.
If I'm
we are here
where
for
that
sure.
is, but
we are for sure supposed to be here to use, our creativity and because we're so stuck in our junk that a lot of people aren't using their creativity and all the good stuff they're here to, because everybody has gifts. Everybody's intuitive. Everybody, if they just tapped in, would be doing amazing things in the world. So I think that's my piece of why I try to help people become more who they are. Because again, like you said, Tim, if we can just get people to do a little piece here and there and just start unfolding that, I
think that's happening.
Yeah, I do too.
It's happening because more and more and more people are talking about these sorts of subjects, and I love that the scientific community and the metaphysical community and the religious community, they're all, like it or not, they're all coming together and realizing they're all saying the same things, but science is coming to a place where they can prove a lot of this stuff now. Yeah. So everybody can be happy as long as they're not afraid that somebody else is going to steal their mojo out of it.
I know.
But I'm fascinated just watching that whole process. I think it's really cool.
I love quantum physics. I mean, it just blows my mind. Totally blows my mind. It's so amazing. And yet they're still teaching traditional science in classrooms in the school books. There's a whole nother set of issues around that. But we have a lot of topics we could talk about. Like we could talk for like the next 6 hours.
Yeah. Well, these are not simple black and white sorts of topics, any of this stuff, because there's all this overlap and there's all these we've been talking for, I don't know, maybe an hour, and we haven't scratched the surface of any one of these little pieces that we're talking about, So
just food for thought, right? Yeah.
Brew a pot of coffee because we're going to be here for a while.
Right.
Well, I've got my coffee. How about you guys?
Wow, that's a cup, man. Look at that.
Yeah, I figured I better have it now since I have to be up at 4 a.m.
Drinking
I better
a swimming pool, man.
I know, right?
Wow.
And it says sparkle more. That's what my cup says. It's a sparkle
that's
more
great.
cup. It's a girl thing.
Doesn't have to be a girl thing.
All right, I want to
I don't know where that came from. Yeah, that's enough of that. Okay, I'll stop right there.
I thought that was
don't want to offend the sponsors.
I'm spitting. That was brilliant. I just envisioned you like in a tutu and
yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. There's joy here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where do we go from here?
Gabby, you're quiet. You're being quiet.
What?
I'm just bathing. I'm bathing in this.
He's thinking maybe he doesn't want to be your soulmate anymore.
Yeah. He's like,
it's a little too much. I'm verklempt.
All right, then.
Oh my God. All righty. Okay, let's shake it off.
So let's do this. Unless, Gabby, unless you have a burning question, I want to sort of reroute this a little bit and then get back into discussion. What I would like, Lisa, is for you to tell us a little bit about really what it is that you do with clients, maybe a little this, a little that. And then off of that, I'm sure there's going to be topics that are going to trigger for us, and
sure,
we can dive into something from there.
Sure. I do lots of things. When I first started, I was a life coach. So I was doing relationships and money and, marriage problems and business things. And I was doing a little bit of everything. But what it really came down to was because over the past many years, I've worked with different coaches doing different strategies and, very masculine, the traditional business model stuff, which is shifting. Conscious business is totally shifting in a whole different direction. direction, and the things that were working in regular business are not working anymore. So I've had a lot of experience with gathering strategies, working with different people, unfolding myself. And what it really comes down to is, what's happening for me now, and I believe this is my quote unquote niche for now. There are a lot of things I can do. I'm bringing all my intuitive stuff back in, because that's where the gold lies. When I'm talking to somebody and just stuff comes through and it gets downloaded like that. It really helps to guide them in a really cool direction. But I'm helping starting entrepreneurs. I am working with some established entrepreneurs, but there are a lot of entrepreneurs that aren't making money. They're stuck. They don't have a vision. They don't have a mission. And so what I do is I really go through a lot of intuitive processes, foundational processes to open up their mindset, get clear on their vision, create a strategy and do things to monetize. So I'm really bringing everything together. Like the tagline that I came up with just recently, which I absolutely love, is where spirit meets strategy. Because if you don't have them both, right? One's masculine, one's feminine, you got to have both. You got to be and do, So that really resonated with me. And I really felt like that was another download that I got for right now in this present moment. And again, if somebody comes for me, to me for some other reason on a one-on-one coaching thing, I'll do it, anything, because I can really coach them on a lot of different things. But I love working with entrepreneurs because the journey's hard. I've been doing it for many years now, and it's not for the faint of heart. And it is a mission. It's not just about setting up a business. It's about you becoming more you. I'm moving into speaking and now podcasting, because it's like we have big missions. And if we sit behind a computer, we're probably not going to get to them, Yeah. So we get to get out in the world and do that. So it's really, it's a lot of work, but it's so rewarding. And when you hit that, like when I got that tagline and everything and I started talking to people, things were just, opening up, and people call me and they're crying. They're like, oh my God, I feel you. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like the best thing ever. It's amazing. It's amazing to be able to support people in that way. Yeah. And help them grow. Yeah. Does that sum it up?
Yeah. Although I didn't.
Do you
No, yeah.
Ask me questions.
It's a very good, it's a very good summary. Absolutely. It's interesting. I'm still thinking. I'm still processing your where spirit meets strategy.
Mm-hmm.
It's deep because I'm kind of still having it in my mind.
It's an interesting thing, I think, because in business, it's going on anyway, right? Is that I don't care who you are, I don't care how big the company is that you're running, there is still intuition and non-linear, I don't know about the right term necessarily, but there's these other things that still go on in decision making and plans and organizing and things that are not strictly black and white on paper.
Right.
But it's really been the smaller businesses that have been willing to sort of be open about bringing that stuff in.
Well,
and it looks like it's sort of in a conscious way, sort of filtering its way back up.
Yeah, and it's interesting.
Or am I making things up? I don't
know. No, and well, maybe, I don't know. But what's really interesting is that what I've noticed also, and I've had a lot of experiences with this, is that there are a lot of people out there making a lot of money talking about God and talking about giving and talking about blah, 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 all these things. They're so far out of integrity. Because I've been in the midst of a lot of that, where there are lies going on, manipulation. There's this marketing strategy that's just, really pushy. It's like car salesmen, and people are running the other direction. So I guess that's part of my thing too, is, I live by integrity, and it's like, I don't have to be a multimillionaire. I mean, if I am, I am. And if that happens, great, but my big thing is really wanting to stay humble and really wanting to stay in alignment and really wanting to stay honest. And I think there are a lot more people that are heading in that direction as well. There's a conscious business model of generosity and support and integrity. And I think that's actually happening a lot more. And I believe the people that are out of integrity are going to crash and burn at some point.
There's a lot less stress and anxiety in that.
Well, you would think
that path, isn't there?
Yeah.
At least
people don't know they're doing it, though. I really do. It's been my experience. They really think they're doing the right thing, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and it's happening with some pretty big people too. And you know what? I don't judge. I mean, they get to have their journey just like I get to have mine. But again, I really believe it's really about, and I know it comes back to that Pollyanna thing where it's about having integrity, generosity, really serving from the heart, really being there for people, not just to take their money, but to really make a difference, really about it. I love transformation. It's really about, providing a space for transformation. Nobody transforms anybody, but you can provide a space for that.
Right.
So, so it's pretty cool where it's going. I believe it's going to be amazing.
I like what you just said about transformation, because I had an experience in speaking to kids at a school for at-risk kids, and seeing, certain faces light up and eyes open, and you can suddenly the wheels are turning, and it's really, really a fun experience.
Yeah, I love that. Well, making a difference.
So it's
turning the light bulb on. Yeah.
Well, you're changing the world,
Yes.
And I keep ending up in this conversation, but changing the world doesn't mean that you have to be, Steve Jobs or whatever. You just change one life a little bit, and you've done it. It's all little ripples here and there, and
yes, same page. Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Cool.
It's good stuff. Yeah.
Do you have I'm just curious. So say there's an entrepreneur, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have them coming from all different walks of life, right? And so if their business model, I guess let's put it this way, you see what is at the core of their desire. The business model is not necessarily to to bring prosperity and to share love in this world. What if the business model is driven from making good profit and without much regard whatever the product that you're coming up with actually needed? It's just you see there's a niche and you have an edge, and you just want to put it in place and make some dough. Do you feel like you would be involved in that? Do you have like a kind of intake philosophy that you're not going to be involved with this, or
wow, that's a great question. Yeah, no, I don't. And I what comes to mind for me right now is that I probably would not be a part of that. Because I do interview people when whether we're a good fit or they qualify or we're in alignment. Yeah. And it's like there's nothing wrong with that. If there's somebody that's, again, like Tim was saying, there's a lot of stuff that's happening a lot of people aren't aware of anyway. It's not all black and white. There's nothing wrong with making a profit, but I really believe that you can prosper so much when you're coming from the heart and you're in your flow and you're serving. You can make a ton of money doing that too. So for myself personally, I don't think I could even coach somebody like that because they're not on the same page as I am. And I'm not saying I'm better. I'm just saying they're not working in the same way that I'm working.
Yeah.
Different goals, right?
Right.
It kind of scales up to a bigger question about whether we can have capitalism with a human face. Like can we have conscious capitalism? Because capitalism is all about profit at all costs.
Yeah,
right?
But I think we can. I mean, John DeMartini. Dr. DeMartini, I actually interviewed him. He was on one of my summits, and I actually worked with him in LA, I don't know, about 8 months ago. And I really got to work with him one-on-one. There were only about 40 people in the group. And, he was talking about Trump because he lived in Trump Towers. And he has, he owns part of a boat that's called the World, a ship where people live. It's a very, it's a luxury liner with all these very wealthy people that live on it. And he said, I said, I think he's like on the road, 365 days a year. But I said to him, how do you make the kind of money that you make? Because he's a probably billionaire, right? And he said, I research, I travel, and I teach. He said, I don't do anything I don't love. I leave everything else to the people that are running my business, literally. And he mentioned that several times. I only do what I love: research, travel, teach. That's it. That's how I can teach, all year long. And he looks really young. He's in his 60s and he doesn't even have like any wrinkles on his face. So you can tell he's in that flow, and that joyful flow. So I believe there are a lot of conscious business people out there that are in the big world doing this kind of stuff, and maybe they're not as open about it, but I believe that they're involved in it. I really do.
A lot of open now these days. Like Mark Zuckerberg, I recently read about him. I mean, this guy, and you know what, I'm reading this article and it says, don't look at Mark Zuckerberg's shirts look like uniform.
Mm.
We found out, and those shirts are sometimes more than $1,000.
Wow.
I'm thinking, what crap are you guys focusing on?
Exactly.
What shirts,
Thank you.
what this and that.
So what? It's nobody's business what you spend. If you have it and you're being generous, I mean, so what? You get to do whatever you want to do.
And this guy committed to donating most of his wealth before before he's dead.
That's beautiful.
To charity.
Yeah.
And this is, he doesn't have Lamborghinis or big houses like or palaces like Trump, or golf courses or whatever. He just goes from place to place, giving people money to develop schools or whatever. Yeah, it's absolutely possible. But again, this is the millennial generation.
Yeah, and that whole thing about judging somebody for having money too is it just buys into that lack consciousness that we're trying to get out of. Looking at other people as the like what I grew up with in my family. It's like the filthy rich, and all these terms, and having money is bad. And there are a lot of people that aren't nice people that have a lot of money, but there are a lot of people that do things behind the scenes that have a lot of money that don't talk about it. So I think we definitely need a shift in the way things are happening.
I think it's coming though. Yeah. These things never come fast, right? And it's just 30 years down the road, we'll look back and go, "Oh, that happened overnight." Yeah. No, it didn't.
It will unfold. I think it will unfold very quickly once the critical mass is reached.
Yeah, you got to get that momentum, and
boom,
we got momentum.
But it doesn't. That critical mass takes time to accumulate.
Yes,
so.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. Whew.
I think we need to be running things. That's what I think. We need just be in charge. Let's just make the announcement. It's us. Yeah.
We're not
the triumvirate right here.
We're not ambitious enough or something.
It's too much work. That's the reality.
It's Tim and his tutu. Sorry.
I'm too lazy. Yeah.
It ain't gonna happen with that. Or maybe it will. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, it's an interesting question. That how come our system does not make people who are enlightened gravitate towards those positions in the leadership that guide our journey on this earth? How come we're attracting egomaniacs? What's going on?
But that's a great point, because I've done some leadership training too, and it's there, like I don't know if you know Amy Slater. She's a friend of mine, and she was on one of my summits, and she has been in the corporate world for a long time, and she does a lot of summits. She's actually speaking a lot now, but she was talking about a woman coming into a man's territory, because it's she's literally changing the course of that dynamic. She even has she showed one day, she's like, she used to be, she have to cater to what they wanted. And now she's got like a Buddha and bamboo plants and all, like she is herself in that world. And she's opening that up. So, and she does a lot of leadership stuff too. So I think it's also changing. Like Tim said, it's going on behind the scenes. It may not be huge, but I think it's happening for sure. It's happening. So we just
no movement starts out huge, right? Everything starts with just grassroots, little by little.
Yeah.
One person here, one person there. So
yeah. Ripples.
Yeah.
Ripples. Yeah.
All
right.
Very interesting.
That's kind of fun to skirt around and talk about all different things. I love that. You
don't get to talk about those big questions, a lot. This is
don't.
I love it. This is why we wanted to have conversations, right? Versus just an interview.
Yeah.
Because we can do this. We can still talk about who you are and what you do and how did you come to be here and that kind of thing. But that doesn't impact.
And it's really cool to get so many different perspectives. And then however you two with like the person that's on, there's an energy all of its own, so it goes wherever it goes. So I think that's really exciting. I love it. It's very raw.
Yeah.
It's raw. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't have questions. We just kind of went with it. Yeah. You guys are so much fun. You really are. I love you both. I love you together. Yeah.
And it's our privilege.
We love ourselves.
Absolutely.
I am so glad to hear you say that. I'm
really glad we got to do this.
Yeah, me
because,
too.
Yeah, I don't know. We had a conversation about decisions, a couple of weeks ago,
Yes.
and that was really a lot of fun.
Yeah. That was
And
good.
so I was looking forward to, but that was very, very pointed
Yes.
in what the topic was, and so I was looking forward to having this conversation on the show here, so that we can ramble like this and get into whatever the heck we want to get into.
I love playing with you guys anytime.
Cool.
One of these days
We'll
when I
do it
can
again.
make time in my calendar, I want to do my own podcast, but that's going to be a while. So I'll just come play with you here. If
Sure.
invite me back. I still want that Buddha thing, that Buddha painting in the back.
I'm blocking it.
Did you notice?
For the right price,
pops
anything's for
together.
sale.
It pops out. Do you notice that? It looks
Yeah.
like it's 3D.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like the face is out.
It is. Yeah, it is a little bit. And you know
so
what? You don't see it because it's too far. But
I know it.
there
I have a
are-
Buddha sitting up there. It's
there
everybody's.
are tattoos on the shoulder there. There's a beautiful, beautiful tattoo, and they're like little. What are they? Like
You'll have to tell me where you got it. I might have to go.
golden buttons.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Golden butt.
Little. Yeah.
It's so you.
You think so?
I may not be the only one with it too.
Are we really going to
I'm not going down alone.
No.
I was just waiting for an opportunity.
You guys are scaring me. Oh my god.
Alrighty then.
Alrighty then. Well,
I don't know. Do we wrap it up here? Are we?
I think we
or do
wrapped it up.
Gabby, have you got something more that you want to drag out of the closet to beat up, or are we
Hey, it's
going to save
Halloween.
some
Bring it on.
for it is?
I could go on. I have some. I mean, this is so pleasant. I'm like.
Do you feel complete?
When you're in the moment, you just flow.
Yeah.
And with two great conversationalists like you guys, it's
Oh,
a pleasure.
you're awesome too. I love it. I love the three of us together. It was so much fun. Thank you.
Good.
Oh my
Thanks
gosh.
for being here. So before we say goodbye, you have to tell people, how do they get in touch with you? How do they find you? What
Yes. Thank
give
you.
us all the gory details.
All the gory details. Well, you can either go to yes equals success, unless of course that thing happened like you said, Tim, and you can go to lisawinstoncoaching.com as well, because I just switched that over. And that's my website. That'll just give you all the information and what's going on. And I'm on Facebook and Twitter and all those things, so you can kind of catch up with me and see what's happening in my world. Yeah.
Okay.
It's super easy.
Let's make sure they got this. Yes equals success. You have to spell out the word equals.
Equals success.
Yeah, because the equal sign is not going to do it.
No. And
Yeah.
if you find Lisa Winston on Facebook, I am not the bodybuilder. There's one. That is not me. She stole lisawinston.com.
Ah,
What are you going to do?
yeah, she got there first.
Yeah, exactly. All good.
All right. Well, great. Thank you again and again and again for being here. So it was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. Best of
Thank
luck to you, Lisa.
I love you guys. I'll see you again soon.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, and best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. All
Bye,
right.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Hi, this is Tim Starr. Thanks for joining me and Gabi on the universe between your ears. We really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us for a little while. And we'd like to see you again. So be sure to subscribe wherever it is you're consuming the podcast from, whether it's YouTube or Stitcher or iTunes or whatever the hell else is out there. We want to see you again. We also want to hear from you. So let us know what you think of each episode. Let us know if you got an idea for a future episode that you think would be just killer. Absolutely, let us know. All right? Thanks again, and we will see you next time around. Bye-bye.